going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode here at Off the Cuff, where conversations lead to inspiration. My name is Christian Palmer, and today I'm joined by entrepreneur, creative, artist, community leader, and the founder of The Savior, who continues to show forth the true value in collaboration, culture, and community. Someone who continues to pave the way for so many other creatives, designers, entrepreneurs to never stop believing because dreams do come true. We're celebrating iconic moments right here. We're making history. And without further ado, here's Off the Cuff with Jay Tips. Jay, what's going on, man?
It's good, my brother. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's an honor, it's a privilege to have you here, man. We're in the hometown of the Bronx right now, making history, bro. You've been doing so much phenomenal work. I'm grateful. I know we have a lot of mutual friends and stuff, but I really want to set the stage for you, for the people who may just see you for the first time, who may be tapping into this conversation. You know, who is Jay Tips outside of all that you currently do?
I'm a father. I'm a musician. I'm just someone from the Bronx. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm a brother. I'm just a son. I'm just like, I'm a friend. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy how, as I continue to do a lot of career path stuff, like me and my friend Cito, I would call him in a second. I'd be like, yeah, damn, everybody's posting about certain things I'm doing, but I'll call him and I'll just talk about like being a basketball critic or like, who played last night or something. So I just think I'm just a dude from Bronx.
That's beautiful, man. It's really amazing that you share that, because I think, I was in conversation with my fiance the other day and she was like, who are you outside of your successes? And sometimes I think you were tapping into an interview I had mentioned. It was just like, how are you doing? And so oftentimes we answer based off the success, or sometimes based off how we personally really feel. So I want to kind of set the stage for you. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I think I'm learning how to answer this question and give a truthful answer. I think right now I'm doing okay, but I'm trying to learn how to feel everything and enjoy everything. I think like my clock is ticking, and there's so much going on at all times that I want to be able to enjoy it all. So I think I'm doing okay, but I could be doing better.
That's part of it. And how do you keep yourself grounded in those moments where like your clock is ticking, so many things going on? How do you keep yourself grounded?
Just life stuff. I think knowing that no matter what's going on, I still got to pick my kids up at 2:30. I still gotta. If I wake up too late, then I'm gonna lose hours on a day. Or if I don't check emails, like, it's staying grounded is knowing that the work doesn't stop no matter what, and the result for good work is more work. So I think that I haven't got to a space where I can vacation, or I can, throw a celebration party for myself, because it's like it's work after work after work. So just kind of just clocking in mentality to know that, like, even when you do a great job, you did your job. So I think I'm just staying grounded right now by knowing that I still got to work and I got to keep things going. And even with people see things that I'm happening, that they're very happy for me, it's still like, this is just like a step in a process of something else. So it's like just knowing that there's more work ahead and filling up my calendar. It's kind of how I stay grounded.
That's right, man. And it's dope because it roots from the mindset of, like, being from the Bronx, the hustle and bustle, always on. What were some of those early influences coming from the Bronx that really shaped who you are today?
Early influences has to be like musically, like Kanye West, just because he was probably the first person I heard that wasn't like shoot 'em up, bang bang. So I was like, wow, I think this is more me than anything else. But also, like, other inspirations were like just like the most popular kid at school, or like the person that rapped the best or dressed the best. Like, those are things that, like, those are like my early whys growing up in the Bronx. Like, growing up in the Bronx, you have like young parents love through material and stuff. So like growing into high school and middle school and elementary school, like, you see the fresh J's, you see all of this stuff. So I just wanted to be able to keep up with the Joneses. Like, so my early inspirations was always like fly stuff, like being able to stay fly, talk fly, be the best at basketball, be the best with the sneaker collection, had the best jeans on and stuff. So just kind of just trying to keep up.
Right. I mean, you got it on right now, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's though you mentioned on a few things too, because music was a big influence early on and stuff. But it wasn't just music. You transitioned as to being a designer, being now a founder of your own clothing, and so many other entities. You wear so many different hats, right? So tell us a little bit more about those transitions and when that element started to come into the picture.
I think clothing and stuff was always a part of my story. I feel like traveling through like the underground, like what they call like the Chitlin circuit with like New York City, with like just the underground rap scene, I always felt super overdressed. Like I always felt like, like you stepping into venues and guys really look like seriously like 8 Mile, like seriously like hoodies and like just gray sweats. Like they came to rap. Like they like forget all that other stuff. Like they came to rap. And I just always felt like man, like I got on mad Supreme, I got on mad other brands, but that stuff starts to become like your identity, because when these pictures go online, like I started to realize like my influence. Like I started to realize like damn, like this is cool. Like I'm promoting myself rapping, but now everybody's next to me where I got that Bape hoodie from. Or people like, I see you, bro. Like you got on them Yeezys. Like I go to a music festival and now I'm on blogs because of the shoes I had on and stuff. So I just always kind of realized that there was a J Tips that had like some kind of like fashion awareness, like consciousness, but then it was like me that was pursuing a rap career. And I think my best version of me is when I figured out how to do both at the same time. And that was more like, if I'm on camera, I need to be making sure like I got something on that belongs to me at all times. Like this angle's catching some J-Tip stuff, this angle's catching some J-Tip stuff, because if I'm give these people all the sauce, I need to keep some of it for myself. And I think I got real selfish when I was like, you know what, this whole outfit gonna be a J-Tips outfit. And it started to translate into something. And I just listened to myself and I was like, maybe I need to pay more attention to this.
And what was that pivotal moment?
That pivotal moment was during what's crazy, my brand is called Savior, but Savior started as just merch for my mixtape Savior. So it was like, of course, like just how if Travis Scott dropped something called Utopia, all the merch is gonna say Utopia. So it was like, I was just putting Savior on hats, putting Savior on hoodies, putting Savior on socks, doing all this stuff, promoting my music. And you started to realize that like, there may be more attention at the merch table than it is at the front of the stage. And people want to take pictures with me by the merch table more than they're taking pictures of me on the stage. And just after that show, like, I felt very, very like, I think like I need to kind of like maybe order just more shirts. Like it wasn't like a full out plan, but it was like, I had like 24 shirts. Maybe I should order some tomorrow. Maybe I should order more hats. Maybe I should do stuff like that. And you started to gradually see me being recognized for that. Like if you go back and scroll on my timeline to the first time I dropped hats, very maybe reminiscent to anybody's brand, like a few comments, a few flames, a few like, yo, I see you, bro, you're doing your thing, like hold one for me. But I was like, I guess just stay consistent, and like, I guess, it really, really like transitioned.
That's amazing, man. And to your point too, like the consistency is what really kind of speaks for itself. And this whole entrepreneurship shit, man, it's not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy though, because before I was in corporate America, now this like beginning of the year, I've been full-time entrepreneur. And there'd be a lot of high and low moments and stuff. And I'm just reconsidering. Sometimes I even feel like I'm running in place, and I'm curious to know from your aspect, right? As being an entrepreneur for a while right now, so many highs, so many lows. Can you take us through some of the behind the scenes that we typically don't see?
Behind the scenes, maybe like from an entrepreneur, just like the attention to detail. I think that when I get into certain social circles, or when I meet like other people that's in this industry that, of course, like I inspire to be in the same room with, or like I want to pick their brain because they're doing a lot of great things, they're always like, you do that yourself? Like whether it's my shipping, whether it's like my production, whether it's my just like the way I coordinate drops or like certain Photoshop things. Like only recently I started really, really like having design teams and doing like certain things. I realized that I can't do it all. Like I go to one person for this, I go to one person for that. I could do everything else myself, and like being a good coach. But I think realizing like Tips really do sit in front of the computer all day. He really does like pack orders a lot, and he does like sit at the booth while they're painting and putting things up, or going to Home Depot and building racks and building shelves, or being very, very like hands-on. Like even with like a lot of my production, I know like a lot of brands go overseas, but me, I still print a lot of stuff locally. So I've been a lot of print shops in New York City have seen me go from bringing 6 items to 200 items, or bringing 4 hats to 500 hats just to get printed and doing all of this stuff. So I think a day in a life that people may not see is just how much that I am running this like a full company with just sometimes just my homies as like assistants. Like I tag my homies in like wrestling, like you know what I'm saying? Like
no, I'm familiar with that.
Like I'll never say that I do everything myself, because I just do enough until I gotta call somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like you see me at a pop-up, I got 40 people there, but during the week I'm like maybe 1-man show until like it has to be a 3-man or 4-man or 5-man, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like just learning how to be a good coach. That's probably things people really don't see all the time.
That's fire, man.
Yeah.
And you need a team, you know what I'm saying? I think honestly, like I've been on that journey myself and stuff, that I had to learn how to cut videos or how to edit, or, you know, copping a camera and doing all these things, reaching out to talent, booking with talent, you know, making sure I got the questions and a lot of those other things and stuff that usually happens behind the scenes to get to this point, right? But I think one element that I want to lean on too is to our community, right? For advice from that standpoint. I'm curious to know, what would you share to those entrepreneurs, those individuals right now who may be struggling, or who would want to take something away from your story right now? What would you share with them?
I think you have to see it through. I think when it comes to like a creative process, a lot of people are very, very just only determining success by results. But I think that instant results are different than like progression. Like I think that, you know, you can release something and it not see instant gratification, but it still grows. Like it still is a flower. It's still like you do the right thing and it just continues to flourish, and it continues. Like I'm very, very like intentional when I say like you build it, they'll come. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you guys can shoot this show, you know, 1 million times and be like, oh, people aren't watching. But if you're shooting it right, if you're shooting it the right way, if you're having the right guest, it takes one guest to turn everything around. It takes
100%.
one post to turn everything around and stuff. So I think seeing things through, like one thing that I've been able to really, really like pat myself on the back about is a lot of the things that I would call my friends and I'll be like, man, music doesn't seem like it's always like panning out, or I didn't make as much money as I thought I was gonna make, or this pop-up didn't do as well as it was gonna do, not knowing that this is all just like different pieces in the puzzle. Like just because it wasn't the final piece in the puzzle doesn't mean that this isn't a part of like what people see when they click your Instagram. It's like, oh wow, you was in Miami the other day? Like they don't see that you maybe didn't have the best time, but they see like, oh wow, you was in Miami, how did that go? Like, oh wow, you've been traveling, you've been doing this. It just all adds to my story. And like now that I'm at a point in my career where like people like look at everything, I look at it like even my downs are still a part of like my success.
Absolutely, man. I definitely agree with that. You know, and it's crazy though, because I always say this season right now is preparation for the next season.
Yeah.
You know, and it's amazing to see how far you came. You know, and one of the things I want to lean on, because I think mutually, and we'll kind of walk our way through the first shoes, Saucony, and all the amazing things. But I think everything you do, like you mentioned, is very intentional. But also to really sometimes even prove a point that the inner gift that you always had was there for a reason. So I think I was watching the interview and you had something along the lines that remember who fronted was one of your high school teachers.
Yeah, oh yeah. That definitely.
You know what I'm saying? It was that first person. It's like, yo, if you could put one in mind, like who's that person? You know, talk to me about that greatest story and stuff, and why that was so pivotal and memorable in your life.
I think that like people don't give enough credit to energy. Like people don't give enough credit to like things that just gravitate to you or for you, or like things feel good. Like I think we force a lot of things. We think a lot of things are for us, but you know what feels natural, you know what feels good. And you know, throughout school. Like I always knew that I wanted to be something other than what they're offering. Like they kind of teach you a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm getting my greatest joy from when I go home and I watch music videos or when I draw. And I can't draw properly, but just being able to, you know, just think that I can figure something out today, I get my most joy. Like writing rhymes in every single class, drawing like little stick figures wearing t-shirts and stuff. I knew that I was getting the most joy out of that. And just being in school, like when I was in school, I guess it's funny because so long in my life I was kind of treated like I was very young, but now it's like I'm starting to be treated like, oh, you're kind of older than everybody else to do stuff. So just being in school, like all the teachers was like, oh, you're not a doctor, you're not this. They'll even tell like the girls in class, like, oh, you got a crush on a boy, like leave them boys alone, they don't got no future, like they not doing nothing. Well, he gonna make music, he gonna play basketball, he gonna play sports and stuff. But at that time, it wasn't really a lot of outlets, but I guess it was more people like me than like them, because as we continue to grow in life, like a lot of jobs began to be created through people that you didn't have to shoot a basketball to be in the basketball industry. Like there's basketball influencers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I just think that like, it was hard to go home every day realizing like, damn, like they said I'm not gonna be nothing, but I know I'm gonna be something, I feel it. And you know, just kept grinding, kept going through it.
Did you ever bring those conversations or that feedback or those remarks to your mom?
Yeah, of course.
And what she said, because I just saw the video, she was like, yo, he was meant to be here and stuff, you know, but I'm curious to know, like, what was those conversations like?
Yeah, well, I love my mom to death, but, you know, your mom is your toughest critic, or family just in general, because I think there's things that we may know is a big deal, but they grew up in a different generation. So it's like, does that mean you got money? Like, you could tell them every important person in the industry, but they're like, oh, that's not 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Like,
yo, they humble you real quick.
Yeah, they'd be like, who is that? Maybe you should try to get connected to Snoop Dogg or P. Diddy or something. Like, that's not Nike. Like, it was Saucony. Like, that's not Nike.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, they're kind of like big supporters and big haters and stuff. But I think that when it started to really click for my mom is like her seeing other people celebrate me. And I think it's more like that's probably when she realized maybe I'm not being a knucklehead or I'm not being taken. Because that's another thing too. They see you doing stuff, they think you're being taken advantage of. Like, you be like, oh, you know, I'm doing this, or my website's doing this. Jay, don't be scamming them people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just stuff like that. So I think it's affecting her because I think she's realizing it's real in real time. Like, wow, this is all happening for him in real time. So yeah, I love my mom.
I love that, man. I'm sure she's hella proud of you, man, for everything that you've achieved, you know. And into that moment and stuff, I actually had a moment myself too back in high school. I guess I was still trying to figure out like what direction I wanted to take. Sometimes I wanted to be like a designer, sometimes I wanted to be a model at some point, and other times I just wanted to just play sports. And I remember walking down the halls one moment, and at the time I was kind of playing around with different patterns. And I remember walking by through the halls, and it was it wasn't even my teacher, but it was a teacher that they were all waiting in the classroom, and my son was just like laughing at me, like hysterically, like laughing at me. And I'm a kid, so I didn't really understand what was going on, but I remember overhearing him speak to another teacher. And it was almost in a sense of like, yo, like, what is this dude doing? And like, he's not gonna amount to anything. And I've always had that picture in my mind where years later, you know, I ended up going to the University of Albany and ended up doing my thing. But all I think I needed at the time was a fresh start. And when I went in there, 4 years later, I was actually the commencement speaker for my graduating class.
That's fire.
And when I came back to the high school to speak to the seniors, I remember my face being all over the press, newspaper and everything. So all the local communities had it. And I grew up in Rockland County, and they all had it. And I'm like, I remember signing in the security desk, same old thing. I had to sign in. And at the time, I saw he was over my shoulder. And then I was like, oh, hey, what's going on? He said, hey, what's going on? Like, I saw you, like, congratulations. I wanted to say that I'm sorry. He didn't say it. Yeah. He wanted to apologize for those moments that he ended up doing. He said, yeah, I'm sorry. And he just stopped. And I think at that point, what I realized is that sometimes success is the best answer to whatever happens then. And I think that moment was so pivotal in my life, very similar to how success spoke for you, and it is speaking for you in so many different ways. So I just wanted to share that because I think it just aligns so well there.
Nah, thank you. But it's growing up. I think that's one thing that like you can only like explain like 25% of it. Growing up in New York City is different.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that we endured. Like me and my friend Cito, like we'll talk about that all the time. Like some of the stuff that happens like in grade school, like you couldn't even tell nobody. Like they wouldn't even believe you. It just doesn't make sense with like just learning so much emotional intelligence at a very young age about having to beat the odds way before you should have to. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro. It's crazy, man. And as we kind of walk through memory lane and stuff, we talk somewhat about the highs, the lows and stuff. Let's talk about the amazing first shoe, because I really want to speak about that because I think there's so much details that go into it, right? Tell us the bigger story around how that came to life. Because honestly, growing up for me, I've always said Saucony, right? I've always said that, but I know it's Saucony. And I really want to understand kind of the bigger mission, the bigger vision and stuff, and how that whole collaboration came.
Yeah. Well, I would like I was saying, like through my music, I've always had like some sense of like commitment to design. And just over the years, I learned how to play with Photoshop, learned how to do different things. And I had designed a Nike custom shoe. They had a bespoke program that's like $1,000, and you're able to design a shoe that's customized for you, which most people used at the time for like gifting people stuff. Like people were like going to make a shoe for their son's birthday, or like for their wife who has an anniversary coming up and she loves shoes. So I used it as a marketing strategy, and it was something that I was just like, yo, I'm gonna design this shoe. I'm gonna put out music around this time, so it's gonna look like it's a promo item. I'm gonna shoot it like with the same photographers to shoot for like stores and stuff like that. So it's gonna have that aesthetic that people's gonna be like, wait, this a real shoe? So it just almost like worked too well. And it worked too well so much that I started to feel like, wait, like I could have my own shoe. Like I could have my own shoe. So I just kept, like I would go on like Nike ID and I would just keep designing, and it would go a little viral. It wouldn't be as much as that one, but it would end up on like the sneakers app, or like Nike would like right under my picture saying, can we repost this on the Nike app, and doing stuff like that. So I started to get a little bit of traction. And from that point, like I got an opportunity to design hats. And when I got the opportunity to design hats, like they were like, yo, we seen that you did that custom shoe. So, when I started designing hats, like me and my friends, like I just, with the way that I was kind of like thinking about marketing and stuff, I was like, yo, if I make a Chicago White Sox hat, I want to go stand in front of the stadium and take a picture. And like flights was like $50, $60 during the pandemic. So we would hop on a cheap flight, chilling in that city for a day, take a picture, and pretty much come back to New York. And that really started to, you see the difference in the way people responded to my posts. Like I'd be like, wow, I had 100 comments today, and then 200, 300. And now it's like, now we're playing with people. We're like, yo, pull up on us. Like, we in LA and I'm taking pictures at the stadium. Like, I'm gonna be here tomorrow. I'm gonna drop the address an hour before. And then it was 200 kids outside. And then we were like, wait, this is starting to really, really become something. And just for maybe like the next 6 months, the next 7 months, it was like starting to really like be like, wow, like Atlanta, Miami, LA again. Then we come back, do it in New York, and then we do it somewhere else. And then we just keep popping up. And it was really like, oh wow, this is just continuing to happen. Like we even went to Charlotte. And it happened again. And we was like, wow, they don't even have a baseball team here. So I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like this is something I want to do, like really, really want to do. And just then that call came where I was like, yo, like, a homie that I knew that worked at Nike at the time, he was like, yo, my old boss works at Saucony. Like, I can't promise you nothing, but I told him you're a good kid and you're doing these events and you're running around and you're getting energy and genuine energy. Like, it's not fake. It's all like stuff that you're creating. And they would love to like chat with you, but I can't promise you anything. And I get on the phone with them, they asking me more about me. They were like, yo, what you're doing with these hat pop-ups are cool and stuff like that. And right when I thought that they might just like be like, yo, let's design a hat, Cause everything in my
Right.
life is hats.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm like, yo, let's do a hat or something. They were like, yo, if you ever want to work with us, we're not the big companies. We're not maybe like everyone's first choice, but we'll love to do something with you. And the rest was history. We went up to their office and I started looking through shoes, and I wanted it to feel real because I keep it real with everybody. Like that's Saucony wasn't something in my rotation, so I was like, it needs to feel right. It needs to feel real. It needs to feel like I can translate this and stuff. And from there, that process just started to begin. So everything like lifelong sneakerhead. I decided to start running with fashion and got right back into shoes. So it's like full circle for real.
That's beautiful, man. And I guess the messaging too as well, right? Never stop believing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that just speaks to a whole notion of it. Why specifically that title?
Just because there's plenty of times I even counted myself out. There's plenty of times where like, I began to even like, I've been an entrepreneur since 2013. So you're telling me like, spending every dollar on like putting music together, making a t-shirt, making a hat, paying for a flight, needing to stay on someone's couch, maybe hanging out in Foot Locker for 8 hours a day, trying to see if a customer's gonna return a shoe that I know I could flip to someone in my neighborhood or something like this. Years and years and years of feeling like maybe I do need a job. Maybe I do need to figure something out. Maybe I need to start, like, even though I make music, maybe I need to start being an engineer and like charging people to record their music. Maybe I need to start doing something like learning Photoshop so I could charge people $50, $100 to do flyers or something. Like I knew that the clock was ticking and I felt like I was running out of options. Like every single album or mixtape felt like the one, but then you put it out and it's maybe you make enough money through streaming that I could pay the phone bill, but it wasn't like changing my life. And I just felt like I just needed to do something else. And when the doubt creeped in, it was like I just kept working and kept working and working and working. And I was telling my homie recently, I'm like, many people could have counted me out, maybe felt like I fell off or it wasn't as jumping as it was when I was younger or something, but I just surprisingly turned it up as much as I could turn it up in that aspect, and things changed. I remember like even going to like round 2 or like eBay and selling the last bunch of shoes that I had that I knew was like worth something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody like to collect shoes. Like you got that one shoe that like I could get $400 for this one. Like I could get $300 for this one. So it was a certain amount of shoes. I was like, bro, if I sell these, I don't really got nothing else in the chamber. And it's just like I kind of just turned my grind up from that point. And it was like real back against the wall kind of mentality, and like things opened up.
That's fire, man. It was like survival of the fittest, though, honestly. It's really dope to see that. It was those moments, too, that the breakthrough happened. You know what I'm saying? It was moments of like either selling your last hidden gem that you had for X amount, and it just boom, that's where the breakthrough happened.
I do feel like what you give into the world, you get back. So I feel like if you're willing to, lose your attachment to material things, like you may get like something back in return just from like this manifestation.
That's beautiful, man. I'm a big believer of that too. And stuff, you know what I'm saying? What's currently on your vision board right now?
Me, I would love to be able to just get a little bit of rest. Like, to be honest, I think that when you can ask me a personal question about like what do I personally want, it's like I just want to be able to be comfortable. I know you can't ask to be comfortable. Like you have to earn it. You have to be able to get to a situation where you can like take steps back because things are taken care of. And everybody isn't afforded the luxury, but I think my hard work brings more work, brings more opportunity, brings more people in my life, brings more eyes, brings more vision, brings more awareness, brings more focus. But all of those things like are just things if you don't learn how to appreciate them and rest and focus. So me right now on my vision board, like for life, is definitely like to get some rest. But creatively, of course, I want to be like creative director of Louis Vuitton one day, or like be able to do things that people never thought of, collab with my favorite brands, collab with like Bape or BBC or Kid Robot, or like one day like Nike does come kicking down the door, and then like now it's my terms. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's like stuff on like my vision board. But at the end of the day, like, man, like I'll be lying to you if I didn't say like the first thing I do if I sign a multi-million-dollar deal with a company is not go on vacation.
Yeah, I feel you, bro. I love that too, because I think that's all, you know, you need that balance, right? And honestly, we manifest on the show, so everything you just named, we're gonna rerun the tape and stuff. And I'm gonna make sure to send it to you when it kind of comes into fruition.
Yeah, trust me. You know, I try to like be very intentional, man. People have been sending me a lot of clips of me saying things that definitely they see now. Like it's just me vision boarding and just saying I want to be doing this with my friends, and I want to be on the road, and we comfortable, and we controlling our own narratives and stuff. Like it's happening.
That's beautiful, man. I love that. You know, and as we kind of lean into the last couple of questions here, you keep mentioning your friends a lot, community. You know, as entrepreneurs, as creatives, as designers, as business owners, we need a core team. We need a core five. You know, and I'm curious to know how important is it for you when it comes to reaching out to your full circle when that decision making has to happen? Because sometimes we may need to make a decision on the spot.
Yeah.
We can't even run it through. So how important is that, and how do you cultivate your group of circle to keep them there and also to keep you grounded?
Yeah, well, it's difficult to always call on your friends because, you know, your friends have real lives. They have like things that they have to do and deal with, and life hits them. So sometimes when you rely on them, like you like they work for you or something, like it can damage a relationship. It can, like, you know, you could come off like insensitive or certain things. So I've kind of learned to kind of be both. I've kind of learned that there's people that I need in my life that I can just instruct. I can just be like, hey, this is what this is for. But my friends, that's been probably the most important thing for me, because when you think about like, who do you want to celebrate things with? Of course it's family, of course it's your children and stuff, but like, you know, what does the big house, what does the big trips, what does the big opportunities like mean if you can't call a person that's, you know, is genuinely happy for you? Like, you know, if the best opportunity in the world comes to me tomorrow and I call somebody that works for me, like they may just be like, all right, that sounds like some more money coming. Like, you know what I'm saying? That may sound like, you know, to them it might be like, all right, my job is safe. Like we're gonna be doing some stuff. But to my friends would be genuinely happy for me or something. So I just think that I need a good mixture of both at all times to kind of like make sure like I'm just like, you know, not feeling like a bad person sometimes too, but it's definitely important to me.
I love that, bro. You know, I think it's important too. And it reminds me when you say family too, because I think you're figuring out that balance, right? I saw something about you taking your kids to Disney World for the first time. Honestly, I went to Disney World for the first time as well, because I didn't go as a kid. And I think I went this year actually. And it was like a moment to highlight, it's a moment to celebrate. But I understood kind of the nuances of like not having the luxury to do that. But now I know that this is a pivotal moment that I want my kids, you know, my kids come into this world to witness and stuff. So I just congratulate you for making that happen.
And I appreciate it.
You know what I'm saying? You know, as we kind of wrap up in the last couple of questions, and I want to talk about legacy. I want to talk about J-Tip's legacy. What is that legacy that you want J-Tip's to be?
Man, growing up in New York City, man, like sometimes you have to search for hope. Like sometimes you have to really dig deep some days. And I just want my legacy to be just at the light at the end of other people's tunnel. I want people to realize like, yo, I can be from East Tremont, I can be from Fordham Road, I can go to the top 10 worst high school in New York City and still be able to dream big and have big dreams and be able to accomplish things that I wanted to accomplish. Like that feeling counted out stuff, like we shouldn't feel that at 8 years old, 7 years old, 6 years old. So I want people to know that like you can be able to come from these circumstances and really be great. Like, and I think that it's my responsibility to be as great as I can be, because that's just gonna even prove even more people that you can get to there from there. And You don't need the fashion education and all of that stuff. Like, you just need the heart. You need the ability to see things and determine that this is special and this is what I really want to do, and chase your passions. Like, you know what I'm saying? And things open up for you.
You can see that, man. You set in the journey and pathway, you know. And I want to read something too as we kind of conclude here, you know, that I think it stuck out to me. You said, I always want to remind people of the flower that came from the concrete. Mm-hmm. I'm the guy that comes from the Bronx, a community that'll tell you you're a customer before you're a boss. Mm-hmm. They'll tell you you're a sneakerhead before they can tell you that you can be somebody in the sneaker industry. Mm-hmm. You know, and I want to say that you're creating the pathway for so many of us to see that anything is possible. You know, so I wanted to just take this time to say that I give you your flowers, bro, for being here, for setting the staple, for setting the ground, but also to be an inspiration for others that you say it doesn't matter necessarily what your zip code is, where you came from, but ultimately it's where you're headed and where you have that heart. So I just wanted to share that.
Nah, I appreciate that, man, because like to elaborate on even that, like while you were saying it, I'm like, bars, I was kind of trying to remember when I said that, but it's just, man, one day I woke up and I looked at an empty room and I seen potential. Mm-hmm. One day I looked at my life and I looked at the things that I had and I realized that, like, it's not about what's on you, it's about what's in you. You're like, and I think that I wanted to be something that people told you it's not a path to. Like you said, like even that, like there's a smaller community of people that design shoes than people that collect shoes. That shouldn't be. Like, you know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be 2,000 people online and only 3 people in the room of people that make the decisions on what those 2,000 people are gonna like. And it's just like, you know, I gotta break them walls, I gotta break them barriers, I gotta do all of that, not just for my city, but for the sneakerheads, like, you know what I'm saying? But for the curators, for the people that are being force fed on stuff that, you know, don't really give you a good feeling. Like, you know what you like, but sometimes you don't know what's wrong with something you don't like. Like, I'm trying to, you know, speak to that person because I'm more that person and I'm more of them. If anything, I'm just a spy in the room of all of these corporate execs. Like, I'm from outside, like, you know what I'm saying? So just trying to figure it all out.
It's fire, bro. You wrapped it up, man. You know, and I always share to the guests, who would you give your flowers to?
Man, I give my flowers to people watching. Like, you're still early on the journey. Like, you're still very early on the journey. And I think that we're going to look back at this interview and a lot of stuff that I'm trying to do, and you're going to be like, wow, he really called it. Like, he really did it. Like, I want even us in this room to be able to be like, wow, we was a part of something when we were still figuring it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't got no makeup people on site. We don't got none of that stuff. Bro, but still, that's where we going though. That's where we all headed, man.
Absolutely, man. You're speaking into existence.
Give my flowers to you.
I appreciate that, man. This is legendary. I claim it, you know what I'm saying? Because it is in whatever which way God continues to guide us. I think that the core element is we're good people. The heart is pure. The energy is pure. You know, but Jay, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate you for being here, bro.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you,
my man. And it's legendary. And there you have it. That was Off the Cuff with Jay Tips.